How to transcend human suffering? Human suffering is universal. Every person, at some point, experiences pain, loss, disappointment, or inner turmoil. From minor frustrations to profound grief, suffering is part of the human condition. Yet Eckhart Tolle teaches that suffering is not merely caused by external circumstances, it arises primarily from the mind's resistance to what is. By learning to transcend human suffering, we can experience a deeper sense of peace, freedom, and presence. 1. The source of suffering. Most people assume suffering is caused by life itself, by illness, loss, injustice, or conflict. While these external events can trigger discomfort, Tolle emphasizes that the mind transforms these events into prolonged suffering. Suffering arises when we resist the present moment. When we say, consciously or unconsciously, this shouldn't be happening, the mind reacts with frustration, anger, or fear. We are not at peace with reality, instead, we are fighting it. This resistance creates the mental and emotional pain we call suffering. In other words, suffering is optional, it is a product of psychological resistance, not the objective reality itself. 2. Identifying the egoic mind. At the root of suffering is the ego, the mental construct that identifies with thoughts, emotions, roles, and life stories. The ego thrives on separation, comparison, and judgment. When the ego encounters a situation that threatens its sense of control, identity, or security, it reacts. Fear, anxiety, resentment, and depression often emerge. The ego's primary function is to preserve itself, but in doing so, it amplifies suffering. Eckhart Tolle explains, the primary cause of unhappiness is never the situation but your thoughts about it. Recognizing this is the first step toward transcending suffering. 3. Presence, the key to transcendence. The pathway to transcending human suffering is through presence, a state of conscious awareness in the present moment. Presence is the still, observing consciousness that exists beyond thought and ego. When you bring awareness to the present, the mind's compulsive patterns slow down. You stop identifying with pain and resistance. Instead of reacting automatically, you observe your thoughts and emotions with clarity. Presence does not remove the challenges of life, but it changes your relationship with them. A painful situation can still exist, but suffering diminishes because you are no longer resisting reality. 4. The power of acceptance. Acceptance is one of the most transformative practices Tolle emphasizes. Acceptance does not mean passivity or giving up. It means fully acknowledging what is without mental or emotional resistance. For example, if you face illness, accepting the situation does not mean you stop seeking healing. Instead, it allows you to experience the present without adding layers of mental suffering such as fear, denial, or frustration. Tolle reminds us, whatever you think the world is withholding from you, you are withholding from yourself. Acceptance dissolves inner conflict, opening the door to peace. 5. Observing pain body. Tolle introduces the concept of the pain body, which is the accumulation of emotional pain and trauma stored in the mind and body. The pain body feeds on negative thoughts and thrives in conflict, resentment, or drama. Awareness of the pain body is crucial for transcending suffering. When you notice it arises, whether through anger, anxiety, or depression, you can observe it without identifying with it. By simply witnessing the pain body, its energy diminishes, and the cycle of suffering is interrupted. Regular mindfulness practices, such as observing the breath, body sensations, or thoughts, help weaken the pain body's grip. The more present you are, the less reactive and less trapped in suffering you become. 6. Disidentifying from the mind. A critical step in transcending human suffering is disidentifying from the mind. Most people unconsciously merge with their thoughts, believing that every thought reflects reality. This identification amplifies stress and emotional pain. Tolle teaches, you are not your mind. You are the awareness in which thoughts appear. By cultivating this awareness, you separate the observer, your true self, from the content of the mind. Thoughts may arise, but you no longer automatically react to them. This separation allows suffering to lose its intensity, because it is no longer intertwined with your sense of identity. 7. Conscious response versus reaction. One of the hallmarks of human suffering is reactive behavior, automatic emotional responses to life events. When the mind interprets an event as threatening or unjust, the ego reacts. Presence enables conscious response instead of reaction. In conscious response, you observe the situation, feel your emotions fully, and then act with clarity and intention rather than habit or compulsion. For instance, in a conflict with another person, reactive behavior may involve anger, blame, or defensiveness. A conscious response involves pausing, observing your emotional patterns and responding with awareness, which can transform the situation and reduce suffering. 8. The role of silence and stillness. Silence and stillness are powerful tools in transcending suffering. In the constant noise of the mind, the ego finds sustenance. Stillness allows you to step out of mental chaos and enter the dimension of presence. Meditation, mindful breathing, or simply sitting in quiet observation can provide this stillness. Even a few moments of conscious silence can interrupt the patterns that perpetuate suffering, offering a glimpse of inner peace. 9. Transcending suffering through gratitude. Gratitude is another transformative practice. By consciously acknowledging the positive aspects of life, even in challenging circumstances, you shift attention away from resistance. Gratitude does not deny the existence of difficulties, instead, it changes the way you experience them. When you notice small joys, connections, or acts of kindness, you create space in awareness that is free from suffering. Tolle emphasizes that the present moment contains everything needed for peace. Gratitude is a recognition of this abundance, which undermines the ego's constant complaints and dissatisfaction. 10. Understanding the nature of life. Eckhart Tolle teaches that suffering often arises from the illusion of permanence. Life is constantly changing, yet the mind clings to expectations, attachments, and desires. Resistance to impermanence generates pain. By embracing impermanence and observing life as it unfolds, you free yourself from unnecessary suffering. Life's challenges become part of a larger rhythm rather than personal injustice. Tolle writes, life will give you whatever experience is most helpful for the evolution of your consciousness. Recognizing this allows you to face challenges with equanimity, knowing that suffering is temporary and transformative when observed consciously. 11. Integrating presence in daily life. Transcending human suffering is not limited to meditation or spiritual practice, it can be integrated into daily life. Times during work, focus on one task at a time, observing thoughts without judgment. Times in relationships, listen deeply, respond consciously, and avoid reactive patterns. Times in daily chores, engage fully in the present moment, noticing sensations, movements, and surroundings. Times in moments of discomfort, observe your emotional reactions without trying to escape them. By bringing presence into ordinary moments, you reduce suffering and cultivate inner freedom. Life itself becomes the practice. 12. The ultimate freedom. The ultimate freedom lies in realizing that you are awareness itself. Life may continue to present challenges, but suffering becomes optional when you no longer identify with the mind. Eckhart Tolle summarizes, suffering is the absence of presence. Wherever you are, be there totally. If you find that difficult, start with 1 minute. Notice your breathing, your body, the space around you. Presence is the doorway out of suffering. When you live in presence, you discover that peace, joy, and freedom are not future goals, they are inherent in the present moment, always accessible. 13. Closing reflection. Transcending human suffering is not about changing the world or eliminating pain, it is about transforming your relationship with life. Through presence, acceptance, and disidentification from the mind, suffering loses its power. Eckhart Tolle's teachings invite you to witness thoughts, feel emotions fully, and rest in the awareness that is always present. This awareness is your true self, unchanging, eternal, and free. By stepping beyond the ego, observing the pain body, and embracing presence in every moment, you transcend suffering and discover the peace that is your birthright. Life is not about avoiding challenges or escaping pain, it is about awakening to the timeless presence within, where suffering no longer defines your experience.